this is a topic that's pretty. This is something a lot of people are asking right now, and it's pretty much why the fuck do we use the Electoral College? Now, this is something that I don't. Like, I understand it, but at the same time, I don't understand it, and it doesn't make sense, but it does make sense. To sum it up, is like the majority of the United States population is in like New York, part of Texas, Florida, Detroit, and California. Now, what the Electoral College is supposed to do is to pretty much make sure that like those like handful of counties and cities don't decide what the rest of us do. And at the same time, that's like, okay, well, that makes sense. But at the same time, that doesn't make sense because, well, that's still the majority of the fucking country. So, pretty much, we'll disregard what the majority of the country wants for the smaller towns like what I live in so they can have their say. But what doesn't really make sense is there's no way. I honestly don't believe that you're going to have like the entirety of New York City be liberal. Now, I know that California tends to be a more liberal state. I mean, it is a more liberal state. New York, the North in general, is a more liberal area of the country, just like Texas and Florida. Well, Florida's always super flip-floppy, but I think for like a solid 10 years now, Texas has been pretty conservative. But like I said, it doesn't like fully make sense, but at the same time it does. It does make sense. And another thing that people don't understand is our founding fathers, they did set up the country not to be a pure democracy. They said that, and I think this is actually a quote from before them that they just kind of like reused, and that's why it's popular. I think it actually was like an Athenian statesman that said it, but it's a pure democracy is like two wolves and a sheep trying to decide what to have for dinner. Now then again, it doesn't make sense why the hell the sheep should get to decide, have any say what's gonna have for dinner. Not because he's a sheep, but because it's 2-on-3. So why like let's say me and you are friends, and one of our other friends, let's say me and you want to eat Taco Bell, but the other friend wants to go to McDonald's. It doesn't make sense that we should have to go to McDonald's, but. Now, this is when you get into like a more crazy spectrum of things, and this is someone that in the past two elections, like a party, and they've gained a lot of like pull, a lot more pull than they've had in the past few years. My phone camera is probably, yeah, that looks better. A party that's gained a little bit more pull, and yeah, I got a haircut, it's short, and I really don't like it. I'm really upset that she cut it that short. Anyway, I don't remember if I've already posted videos of my hair this short, but anyway. Just to sum it up is, what were they doing? Oh yeah, this party, to sum it up, they've gained more pull. And pretty much what their party is that they're libertarians. Now what libertarians believe, and I can kind of see how this would work, and then again, I can kind of see where it's like, well, maybe that's not the best idea. But it is an idea. It most certainly is an idea. Now, they believe that, like, let's say, I'm just going to use local examples for this, but Little Rock is the capital of Arkansas. Now, Little Rock has a gang problem. Little Rock has violence problems. Little Rock has drug problems. Little Rock has murder problems. Little Rock was the actual murder capital of the world like so many years ago, and they still, to my knowledge, somewhat compete pretty damn well. Not since Chicago blew up, but Chicago's pretty fucking hot. They don't really compete with Chicago, but like they compete with like Compton and Harlem and shit like that. Like they're actually up there. And don't ask me how little fuck nowhere Arkansas does that. I don't. I guess we have enough anger over being like the poorest state in the world that we just harness it into that one part of the state. But yeah. So it would make sense for, let's say, Little Rock to have a gun ban. That would make sense in a way, because it'd make it harder for them to, have guns. If, gun control worked, it'd make it harder for them to have guns. Now, a little place like BB, where, you know, people hunt, and that's pretty much the only fucking thing we have to do here. We've got football at the high school whenever that's going on during the year, and we have hunting season. That's about all there is to do here. There is no movie theater, and we can walk around Walmart, actually. That's the other option. And yeah, that's a fuck ton of fun. Anyway, yeah, so that's what we do. We got guns, and we got small town, you know, local football. Or we can, you know, leave and the town will die and everyone can move off and, you know, try to find something that's actually worth a damn. We got a college too, but it's like a state college, but it wouldn't make sense to have, just because Little Rock has a problem, to have a statewide gun ban. So pretty much what the idea is just Little Rock could have a gun ban and everywhere else could have guns, and that's kind of like a libertarian idea. Is while, you know, everyone in California might go, hey, well, we don't fucking like guns. Let's completely ban guns. Completely, but all they could really, I think, like, they can't completely ban guns because of this and that. But they can, because technically that's a federal law. I mean, not technically, it is a federal law that we have the right to bear arms. But they can put restrictions on what kind of arms, how the arms have to be made, and this and that, how much of this and that you're allowed to have, but they can't fully get rid of them. Just like New York, they can still have guns, but like they can't have like a pistol, like they can't actually have like a handgun. They have to have like a revolver. So that's kind of like the ways that they try to cut back on it, on this and that, and it still doesn't work. I mean, they still get the kind of weapons they want, but we're not talking about gun control. What libertarians believe is, so California should be able to make guns illegal if they want, even though libertarians strongly believe in guns, but this is just an example. Libertarians are kind of like the group of people that want you to do whatever the fuck you want based on how you want to do it. Like, let's say Arkansas doesn't want to do common core math and just, you know, they don't want to do common core. We wouldn't have to do common core, even though, you know, the nation's supposed to do common core and everyone else can do it unless other places decide they don't want to do it. That's kind of how they want to run. They believe that, you know, more liberal places, unlike Arkansas is very conservative. But if other places wanted to have an abortion, they could have abortions, and Arkansas it'd be illegal. That's kind of what they believe. Just kind of to like lightly tap around it, because I'm not, you know, a fucking pro on what libertarians believe or anything, but that's kind of what it is. And their candidate that they had was Gary Johnson and some guy named Weld, and Gary Johnson is pretty famous through the campaign because they asked him where some country was, or some town was in the Middle East that's like ISIS is all over or something, and he said, what is that? And he didn't know what the town was, and I mean, I'm not going to judge him for it because I didn't know what the fucking town was. I'm guessing none of you knew what the town was. I'm guessing the people that know what the town is. Why does my camera seem so messed up? I don't know if it's coming out like that, but on mine it's like kind of blurry. And it's hot as fuck in my room. Anyway, it's November and it's still hot as shit in Arkansas, by the way. It is awful here and no one should ever move here. So, yeah, this is about the Electoral College, this video. So pretty much that's all the Electoral College is so like that, and it's also believed using the Electoral College that it's harder to commit voter fraud. Somehow that's harder. Not really sure how, but yeah, that, and it's harder for just, you know, candidates to just go around and poll in New York City and, you know, Los Angeles and Florida and Texas and just, you know, come talk to them and never come talk to us or you guys in Iowa or you guys in Arizona. And so they can't ignore us pretty much. They have to come talk to us. They have to let us come see things. They have to, you know, yeah. They got to pay attention. Now, like I said, that does make sense. But at the same time, it's the majority. And I mean, in this election, you have 50 of them. I think the final total was. You had like Hillary Clinton pulling out at like 49% and Trump pulling at 48%. Now, a lot of people are really pissed off about that because apparently a lot of people didn't know that that's what we used to decide. That might just be my screen that's blurry because I've had it to my face and shit and touching it all over my hands and, you know, eating something and touching it. Anyway, you guys don't give a fuck about my screen. You're here to, you know, hear about the Electoral College. So, the reason it's been brought to everyone's attention by that, it's like, well, she won, 49% of the people voted for her, and only 48% voted for Trump, and it's like, well, you see, but over the vast majority, a lot more states in total wanted Trump. Now, like I said, while that makes sense, because technically, bigger portions of the country wanted Trump, but more people wanted Hillary. Now, if that makes sense. Now, it doesn't totally make sense to me, but I can kind of get where they're coming from. Now, what it sounds like to me with the Electoral College is it sounded like, you guys remember what America originally was. It was 13 little states. 13. It sounds like to me, really, that the Electoral College was made. This was made during the Constitution. It's in our Constitution. It was made by our forefathers. It sounds like this really was made to run off something a lot smaller than what we currently are. I mean, you got 50-something. You got 50 states. Or 51. I actually don't remember. Fuck. Because I hear so many people say 50, and I hear so many people say 51. And I remember one of them is wrong. One of them has to be wrong, but I actually can't remember which one's wrong. And now I feel dumb. Oh well, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. As you can tell, I'm not in a suit sitting in a chair telling you about what this is. I'm a 18-year-old in this room that likes to read random shit on the internet and is interested in politics. And a lot of other shit. That's what you came to watch today. So if you've already sat through 12 minutes of this just to find out that I'm not a fucking politician, I'm really sorry. I figured you'd guess by how often I say fuck. Anyway, this is also why I'll never make money off YouTube, because I say fuck too much. But I don't care, because I don't have anyone to talk to, so you guys are the only people I have to talk to, even though no one watches. The Electoral College sounds like it was made for a smaller country than what we are today. We were 13 states, and, you know, obviously a lot of that was kind of more spread out. And then you had, like, about 50% that was, like, in a couple big towns, and the other 50% was spread around farmers and this and that. And also back then they didn't let women vote, so that kind of, like, completely changes numbers and demographics and all this and that. Now, speed up like 250 years, and now we're this giant country, and a lot of people think that, you know, obviously now that, you know, 49% of the country is pissed because their candidate lost, but like I said, no comment. I'm not really going to say if I was going to be happy either way. I kind of could have went either way. Let's put it like that. They were both kind of the same person to me. And, you know, now Trump's president, so there's that. That's kind of the way I think about it. Is, yeah, well, there's that. That's what happened. So, GG. I don't know how else to put it, but now that we're a larger country, you know, 49% of the people of the country now want to change that. They don't think we should use the Electoral College. I think we should go off majority. Now, I personally also feel like we should go off majority, but then again, for the presidency, I feel like we should go off majority. But then again, like, so far as laws, this and that, all this stuff should be done on a local level. It makes more sense because, like I said, you just have differing views all over the country. You know, what's a law in New York that you can't keep chickens, you know, in your backyard, or you can't, you know, have farm animals in a residential area, probably wouldn't be such a big problem for a place like McRae, a little dirt town, you know, just down the road from me. That doesn't really make sense why. It's not like, you know, people are going to get crazy fucking sick because someone's got a hen house in their backyard. You know, it's got maybe 1,000 like 900 or 1,000 something people in it. It's not going to be a problem. So that's kind of, but still, you know, keeping livestock in the middle of town is a law everywhere that I'm aware of. Now, it'd make more sense to, you know, make that law based on what part of the country you're in. Just like, you know, it'd make sense that, well, you know, maybe the citizens of Illinois, because of Chicago, you know, now the whole classroom is fucked and now we all have to stay after class. Now we all have to be 10 minutes late because Chicago wants to act up. Now, because it's that bad. Now, that's what people say. But at the same time, it'd make more sense, you know, since I can understand why Little Rock wouldn't want chickens in the backyard. It's not a problem for McRae, so I could understand how Little Rock would be, okay, let's no guns. All the guns gotta go. If you live here, you can't have guns if you live in this town. But, you know, BB, it's not a problem. So, that's how I kind of think it should be done. It makes sense. I mean, not to say that I genuinely support libertarians because they have other things that I don't necessarily believe in. They believe in, a lot of them believe in like just about isolation, and that's kind of like, that didn't work that one time we tried it, guys, remember? Yeah, that went bad. That kind of led to somewhat of a depression, just to give everyone a reference of, you know, yeah. So that's kind of the Electoral College explained. It's just so pretty much the small guys don't get, you know, screwed over. It's, you know, just so, you know, these handful of places around the world, I mean, pretty much if you wrote them down on a sheet of paper, I could probably fit all of the names on them on like 3 fingers of all the towns that get to really decide everything, would get to decide everything if we did something like that. And but then again, that doesn't make sense for them to say that that's how it would happen because, like I said, Florida's always swinging. There's no way that everyone in Texas, everyone in that town in Texas believes this way. I mean, I go to BB, and this is a pretty conservative place, and I still met a surprising number of people that, you know, wanted to vote Hillary. Now, given it was still a lot more for Trump, because, like I said, this is a very conservative town, but then again, I met people that are like, you know, older couples that are like, yeah, we've voted Democratic our entire life, but, you know, now we're going to vote for Trump, and then I've met vice versa. Like, my grandfather, for example, he's been more Democratic just about the entire time that I can remember knowing him. He said he's always been more Democratic, but he didn't like this. He didn't like Hillary, so there's that. And then again, you have my grandmother, and she liked Hillary, and she didn't like Trump, and her brother liked Trump, and this and that, and his wife didn't like Trump, because they argue about it all the time. Or they did argue about it now that my grandma is just kind of sitting there pouting, and my grandfather and uncle are high-fiving each other, and that's kind of how, and I'm just kind of sitting there shaking my head, thinking I wasn't going to high-five anyone either way, probably. So, yeah. That's the Electoral College explained. And here's the real question. Is it time to try to find a different method of doing this? Because, like I said, you can find something wrong and something right, and both forms of doing it in pure and representative democracies. That's the difference. We are in a representative democracy. A pure democracy means the population vote would decide. Now, there's something wrong. There's something very wrong, obviously, with both of them. But there's also things that are good about both of them. And you can pick that apart either way you decide. That's all, you know, that's and that. Pretty much what a couple of people have told me is we're still using the Electoral College because we haven't found anything that's going to work better yet. So that's the question, citizens of America. Who wants to think of something different? If, you know, you're allowed to call your congressman whenever you want. You're allowed to call your governor whenever you want. So I recommend you do that. And I recommend you start trying to find a way. If you got free time, you got a computer, get to work. Find something. Because I can't think of anything that'd work. So, I mean, and I'm 18, so they're probably not going to listen to me. So if there's someone out there that's 40 or 50 years old, they're probably more likely to listen to you. And I recommend you start working. Or you take an idea from a younger person and, you know, steal it. Because they'll listen to you. And they won't listen to us. Anyway, that's my video. If you like this, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about how you think, if you think a pure democracy would work better, if you like the Electoral College, or if you just have an idea on how the fuck you think this would work that isn't just short of the Wild West, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below, and make sure to tell your friends, show them the video, recommend this so they, you know, get the idea, kind of have an idea what this is from my shitty description. And as always, it is the Lit Show. Have an amazing day, people of America, and congratulations to the to about half the country that are happy about our new president, and think of something else for the other half that don't like it. Have an amazing